So, welcome back to American Textbook Reading. I'm Brian Stewart. Today we're going to talk about a new country is born. A new country is born. So, it's about a new country is born. What is the new country called? You're absolutely right. The new country is called America. America is the new country that is born. The new country is called America. America is the country that is born after the Revolutionary War. The American, let me write it, American Revolutionary War. The American Revolutionary War. The American Revolutionary War is the most common type of war we've ever known. There's also the war or the Battle of Waterloo, or the war or the Battle of Alamo. There are many types of wars, but the American Revolutionary War is the most common type of war in this world. So, the first word we're going to talk about is actually the word explain. Let me write it down for you. Explain. What does explain mean? What does explain mean? You're absolutely right. Explain means if you don't know something in class. Imagine you're in your class, for example. Here's your class and here's your table. Here's your chair. And then here's where you sit. So this is the place where you sit. And then your teacher is on the board. Here's your teacher. Here's your teacher's face because she's behind it. Here's the secret letters written above it. And then we will also have the teacher's banner. So if you don't know something like, hey teacher, I don't know this question. So if you shout out, then your teacher will answer you like, then come to me. Then the teacher will answer. The teacher will answer you if you say that. So the teacher will explain. If you don't know some word, a word for the hint right here, and then the teacher will explain the word out, what the word means. So be careful of using the word explain. Don't say explain about. Do not say explain about, okay? But say explain. If I have a phone or I have a CD, for example, here's my CD, and here's my computer, I'll have a CD and a computer. But I don't know how to put my CD into my computer. So what will I do? As you know, I will ask my big brother how to, and then as he teaches me or explains me how to do it, I know how to do it. So he explains how to put the CD in. So now I'm going to put the CD in. I'm going to put the CD in the computer. That's what explain means. The next word we're going to talk about is unite. So maybe in your class there are hundreds of people. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Imagine in your class there are 16 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. imagine there are 10 people in your class. Okay? Imagine there are 10 people in your class. So, they all have different minds. Just like one of your friends said. Let me write all minds of them. Here, this is their minds. Some of them said that they want to play football and they're very good at football. Another one said they wanted to play basketball and they like to play basketball. Another one said they wanted to swim and they like to swim. Somebody wanted to say they like to study and they were good at studying. And finally, they wanted to play the computer games because they were computer games. They know they are very expensive, so they start playing them. So each of these have their very own minds. So here's your mind, and here's you. Here's you, and then you are thinking, and you are thinking. So that's how you think. When you think of it, you know that. Imagine when you're imagining when you're in your home, for example, and then every children wants different kinds of subjects, but suddenly the teacher tries to say, she wanted to gather up. She wanted them to gather up. She wanted them to gather up just like this. They wanted them to gather up, and have the same mind. One team will play basketball and the other team will play soccer. So that's what unite means. That's what unite means. But of course there will be two teams of soccer. Here's one team, here's two teams. There, and basketball as well. Here's two teams. So now that's what unite means. Now, the third word we're going to talk about is actually a very important word. What is that word? That word is called American Revolutionary War. American Revolutionary War. American Revolutionary War is actually the war that has been fought between England. Ting, ting. Has been fought between England. And it is America fought between England. America fought between England. So that is called the American Revolutionary War. That's what the American Revolutionary War means. That war is when America, here's America, started fighting with British. Here's British, that's British. And America started fighting with British. So the leader of America is Washington. There, this is Washington. And the leader of British is somebody else. Washington. Somebody else that's far, far away. Do you know who he is? Somebody else who's already in England. So who is it? As you know, it is King George. King George sent many soldiers, many soldiers crossing the sea to America to fight and take down America. But of course, America win. But the British lost. That's how America gained their freedom. Now, the fourth word we're going to talk about is actually a very simple word. That word is called gain. 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 What does gain mean? So, Imagine you have a big brother, for example, and he's going to a soccer game, not a soccer game, but a soccer game. He's going to a soccer game and he kicks the ball. He kicks them all the way to here. This is the net. I'm not a very good artist, but I'm telling you again, I'm not a very good. So it hits the net, and then after that, the ball will hit the net. And that's the last shot for the game, and then you might gain a trophy. You might gain a trophy for the game. Hooray! But your team will also. Just like your team is behind you there, you were running for the ball, trying to get the ball, and another teammate is almost kicking the ball, and then he kicked the ball, or your brother kicked the ball, always to the pitcher's mouth. So that's what the word gain means. You gain a trophy. There, that's how you gain a trophy. The trophy is actually drawn like this. There, the marker. There, 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 there. So that's how to draw a trophy. Again, I'm telling you, I'm not a very good artist. So now, the last word we're gonna talk about is, or the last section in the vocabulary section we're gonna talk about is, as you know, it is the cycle from unfree or not free of America to free in America too. So basically today I'm going to talk about America. Basically today we're going to talk about America. A new country is born and a new country is America. So that's how you say it. That is America, but America has the American Revolutionary War. We can say America three ways. American, America, or American Revolutionary War. So there are three ways you can talk about America. America, American, and American Revolutionary. So now let's begin from the cycle of America in the unfree section to the free section. First, I'm going to talk about the 13 colonies were not happy of the unfair rules made by the England's king. So they decided to sign the declaration. Then the King of England, which is now King George, he is known as King George. King George will actually send soldiers or send his guards toward America to fight. And the war is called the American Revolutionary War, which England fought with America. England that is fighting with America. So that's the acts of England and America. Most likely they used to have guns, but now England is developing. They're not just using guns, but they're also using spears and weapons like swords and shields. A long time ago, they just made Stone Age weapons, or they just made weapons like made out of copper. they get the copper, they get the wood, they transform the wood into a shape of a weapon, and then they get the copper and then they mend the wood together with the copper and then make it so it works, and then you have a gun. But they also make others like swords, shields, protectors, or even bayonets. So it developed a long time ago like that. It developed a very long time ago. So that's how today America got its freedom. The American leaders signed the Declaration, and after that the Americans won the war, and is now not the 13 colonies anymore, but it became national, and is called the United States of America. The United States of America, a pretty hard word, but I can't spell it. United States of America. America. So that's why we used to call it the American Revolutionary War. That's how it's spelled. American Revolutionary War. American Revolutionary War. That war was the most famous and common war in the world. It's very common and very just like strong, or have a lot of courage to fall down, to be hit, to be killed, or even to be fought, so it is hard. George Washington was actually a man from British, but he was a man with no single piece of freedom. He has not a single piece of freedom. So he decided to fight along the Americans. After fighting along the Americans, he became the most famous man, and he was also the first president of the United States. So that's the vocabulary section for today. So now let's take a short break and come back and we do the speaking section. So don't go away. So now let's do the speaking section. The speaking section is about a new country is born. A new country is born means America. America is a country that is newborn. It is newborn to our lives. Not here, but a long time ago, America is born. But not for many years, America is also born. So now let's begin with the speaking section. The speaking section. Of course, I said the speaking section is about a new country is born. For a long time, America was ruled by the King of England. The Americans were unhappy by the uncivilized deeds, or the uncivilized laws, or the unfair laws that the King of England made. They made things like to pay for the taxes. If the British got the Americans some tea, the Americans had to pay a lot for the tea, for taxes. So the Americans didn't like that. So they asked, why did the Americans have to pay a lot if they are taxes? But a long time ago, Europe had developed a lot. It was called the Old Country, and America was actually well known in the past called the New Country, because Europe developed a long time ago. But America was just an underwater volcano, for example. And then the underwater volcano bursts up, and then it creates an island called America. So, or maybe a long time ago, Europe developed because the the continents were stick together, and as Europe developed, the continents break out. But Europe was the last, so he didn't know, or it didn't know that it has separated. But Europe is a part of Asia, so many people call it Europe-Asia, or Asia plus Europe is Europe-Asia. So that's how you pronounce it. Or you can just say, for a long, long time ago, in British, we call it, or you can just call it ancient England. It's ancient, the ancient animals. Just like ancient animals can be dinosaurs, or ancient animals can be other sharks like the megalodon or the great white shark, which is now extinct. But many sharks are extinct nowadays, so we don't have to care about them. But one living shark is still alive. It's the saber-toothed shark. So now that's the end of the speaking section today. Let's do the speaking section questions. The speaking comprehension questions is about a new country is born. The first question we're going to answer is actually, how did America develop when it was small to big? How did it develop? As you know, America developed as the Native American people all died, and then they started developing, and stars or craters fell down from the sky. Or before that, dinosaurs roamed it, and then craters fall from the sky, making lots of craters. But now, Earth is not called the moon because it has lots of craters, but it is actually called Earth. And Earth was not named by anyone, but it was named by, as you know, the first person to step on the moon. Who is the first person to step on the moon? As you know, the first person to step on the moon is Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong is the first person to step on the moon, and he was the one who named Earth. When he came out of Earth, Earth was just called a crater island. But for the past few days, he went to the moon, this is the moon, and then he could see Earth, much bigger than the moon. So a bigger word is called Earth, because Earth is 5 words, but actually moon is only 4 words. So that's how we separate them. Moon, M-O, 2, and O-N, 4. But Earth is E-A-R-T-H, that's 4, or 4 billion Earths. That's E-A-T-H-S. So that's 5. So that's how we compare that to answer our questions. So it is true. Now let's move on with the next question. The next question is about it's just about the lesson we studied today, but it's kind of a different question than in the lesson. How did things develop as when they were going from old to new? So that's a kind of hard question, but is it true or false? But it isn't false. Why? Because it developed, just like I have a small CD, and then it developed into a bigger CD, and then it developed into an even bigger CD. That's how it develops. So that's how I developed the CDs. That's how I developed them. Or we can even develop weapons, just like I have a small gun, and then as well as it was used for another gun, which is even bigger than that small gun, and then an even bigger gun than an even small one. So that's how the guns develop. So I use that hint to make you answer that question. That hint was not too hard or not too easy, because I know that you can answer easy questions. Like 1 plus 1, what is it? 2. So that's how you answer it. You just need to count on and then 1, 1. So that's all. So now let's answer the third question. What is the third question? The third question is actually an unsuspectful question, but it's gonna be easy and it's gonna be hard. So are you ready? Let's begin. The American Revolutionary War lasted for 8,000 years. True or false? As you know, it is not false. Why? Or maybe. If you see my hint, if I'm telling the false thing, then you will know the answer. I'm just telling a false as a hint for you. Let me tell the hint already closer. I will tell the hint already closer than my false answer. So, are you ready for the hint? Let's begin. So, let's begin with the hint. So, the hint is, our question is, the American Revolutionary War, just like it lasted for 8,000 years. So I use the hint as I will start with the Alamo War. So you know that Alamo War lasted for 8,000 years, but it didn't last for 8 years. That's the short hint. So how could you answer it? It could be 8,000 is the first possible answer, and 8 years is the second possible answer. So, which one is true? As you know, it's the next possible answer. It is 8. The American Revolutionary War lasted for 8 years, which made George Washington's which made George Washington's soldiers tired. They were so tired that some of them grew sick and then they died. But George Washington did not give up. He kept fighting. So in the spring, even though his team was small, they picked up their weapons and then they swang at the British. Ting, ting, and they was as strong as they had been before. It was not as strong as, it was not weaker when it was in the winter. It was not stronger when the war didn't exist, and it even is not weaker than when they finished spring. So that's how they defeated the British. So that's the hint. Now you know that it is true, not false. So now, if you like this lesson, I hope you liked it, and if you want to watch more of my videos, all you have to do is search for my name, BRAIN, Ryan, and STUART, Stewart, Ryan Stewart. And you can see all of my amazing videos with me and the real Ryan Stewart videos. So, see you next time. Take care, everybody.